Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Real Life on the Wellspring podcast. My name's Brian, and with me today, I have a really special guest. It's my friend Andrea. Andrea, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great today.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you. Now, you are Director of Advancement.
I am,
The
and
YMCA.
we had to come up with a title as my job morphed, and I came home one night and I said to my husband, hey, I think my title is going to be Director of Advancement. What do you think of that? He said, well, I guess that's better than Director of standing around waiting for something to happen.
That's true.
So the thing about a title like that is a whole lot can get thrown into it, but that's fine. Never a dull moment here at the Y.
Yeah.
Always interesting.
I actually highly identify with that. There's a long time before we started the church here where I had a bunch of different roles at churches. And all the time we were like, we always ran into the thing of like, well, what are we going to call Brian? What's his title? And so it came up with all kinds of different things. And basically it was, we just got to call you something, and when stuff happens, we just need you to get it done,
Right.
you know? And so
and at
I
the end of the
understand.
day, I mean, sometimes I think, is there a difference?
No.
You know, this morning I had a member who stopped me about something. She doesn't care what my title is.
Yeah, for sure.
She just sees that I work here. I've got a name tag on, and then she sees my name tag shows I've been here for almost 23 years.
Nice.
She expects me to have an answer.
Yeah,
so
you
what
should
can I
know.
do for you?
Yeah, that's
you know?
it. That's
it.
awesome. Yeah, so you've been at the YMCA for 23 years. That's pretty awesome. We're actually recording at the YMCA for this one. And it's actually even where our church has its home here for right now. And I actually wanted to talk about that for a second because
Sure.
I thought that was pretty cool story that maybe not everyone that's part of Wellspring or has been following us online for a little bit know that we got started in my home
Right.
in December, and we were kind of looking for a place of, well, I don't know where we're gonna, land at. I don't know how long we're gonna end up having to meet and cram into my living room or my friend's living room or other people who have been a part of Wellspring. What living rooms are we gonna be in?
Right.
And I was walking through the lobby, and it was actually you stopped me and said, "Hey, I heard that you were starting a
Right.
church." And I said, "I am." And you said, "Well, where are you going to meet
Where?
at?" And I said, "I don't know. Like, I have no idea."
Well,
Yeah. And then you were the one that said,
I know
"Well,"
a guy.
Yeah, you said, why don't you meet here?" And I had never even thought of it. Like, it had not even crossed my mind to have church at the YMCA. And when you said that, I was like, man, that would be
Light
so
bulbs.
incredible.
Right.
Yeah. All of a sudden, all these different things started coming together. It's like, oh man, this would be perfect for the kids here. and
Right.
Perfect downtown location, and parking is going to be so easy. And I had not even occurred to me to try to meet in this space.
You are the, as far as I know, the fourth faith-based group that has
Okay, cool.
that it has been or is currently in one of our Y locations, and that's the great thing about being here at the Y, when Christian is part of your name.
Yeah.
And there are some young kids who go, YMCA. I had it written out on something not that long ago, and someone said, Young Men's Christian Association. Is that what that stands for?
Yeah.
Yes. That's our roots. A lot of people don't know that the Y actually started as a Bible study.
Yeah.
It was, how do we take young people who have a little spare time and maybe a little money in their pockets and not a lot of supervision, and give them something better to do. And that's what the Y started as. So we go back to those roots a lot. And it's really great to be able to open our facility, which, this building
Oh, it's beautiful.
built by the generosity of our local community.
Yeah.
The Y doesn't own it, the community owns it. So we want to invite people in for that.
Yeah. Oh man, it's such a perfect spot for us. And man, I'm so grateful to be here. And I would have never thought of it, never even thought to ask. And it's to me, it's just one of those cool things where it wasn't on my radar, and you just bumped in. And said,
I
"Hey."
say all the time, at the age I am now, there are no coincidences.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Things, and I think that sometimes there's missed opportunities where I don't see it, but I have to believe that there was a reason why.
Sure.
Why I even thought to ask and bring it
Yeah.
up with you. So there we are.
So Wellspring, the reason why we're at the YMCA, it's her fault. So it's good stuff. So we're excited. Yeah, we're excited about it. It's funny that you mentioned that people don't even know, because there's there's a Bible in the lobby, and there'll be like verses that'll pop up. And since people have found out that we have a church here, I've actually had people ask me like, "Hey, did y'all leave that Bible there, or are y'all having them do stuff?"
Wait. And since you brought that Bible up, so
Yeah.
I love this. I've been around. This is my 23rd year. We brought the Bibles into our lobbies probably, 15, 16, it's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, you know what, this is a really easy way for us to bring our Christian principles to light. So we ordered the Bibles and we ordered the podiums and we put them up in our branches. And I remember within weeks of putting it into the lobby at the old Y, and for those people who don't know, we were in a really old building about a half mile up Palafox for 60 years. When I put it there in a couple of weeks, somebody says to me, I don't know why you even put that there.
Yeah.
So what? So nobody's ever going to look at that. And I said, do you want to know how I know people look at it?
It's
I said,
open to a
because
different spot
every
day.
time
Yeah.
I come up to it, it's open to a different page. And I know it's not the wind.
Yeah.
So when we were getting ready to make the move into this building in 2016, and we have long lists of all the things we're buying and replacing, we said, well, we should get a new Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And the week that I was going to go buy a new Bible, a member said to me, I sure hope you're not going to get rid of the old Bible because that's like our family Bible.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a little rough.
Yeah,
It's tattered, it's rough. And I said, absolutely not. So we bring it here. And there was someone on the team who said, I can't believe I said, nope, that stays.
This is a family Bible.
I mean,
like that.
It has a lot of fingerprints on it.
Yeah.
And from some people who aren't even with us anymore.
Yeah, for
Who
sure.
have either passed away or have moved away, but they touched that Bible and they're part of it.
Oh,
so
man, that's a beautiful thing. That's awesome.
I love it.
Well, hey, I wanted to have this conversation with you. I've really been looking forward to it. We were talking about a week ago, maybe a little bit more, about getting together on the podcast and what to talk about, because this podcast, we call it Real Life. That's the series. And to me, that means a couple things. Like at Wellspring, we say, like, this is a place to find real life. Like that's part of our hope. That's part of our dream for Wellspring. But also, a lot of times, our faith or the things that we believe or that we learn or that we hear about, it stays concepts in our mind. And sometimes it's a difficult process to experience it in reality. But man, that's the purpose of it, is for you to experience it in your real life. Like if your faith isn't working in your real life, I don't know, you probably need to reevaluate the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so having this conversation about real life, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, that you said that you were pretty passionate about, I'd like you to dive into that a little bit too, is what do you do in your life when things don't go according to plan, or how you would desire a certain outcome? Because all of us experience that.
All of us experience
the
that.
disappointment that comes with it of I have this expectation and it didn't work out this way. And a lot of times, depending on what that thing is we're talking about, it can really shake us as believers. It can shake us as people, marriages, relationships, all that stuff can happen. And so I'm really excited to kind of dive into it and get some of your perspective.
This is really where I have spent a lot of my headspace, my heart, my soul for the last several years of my life, especially. I was raised in a very, very traditional Catholic home. And I say that anyone who's in their maybe 50s or 60s or older and was raised in a traditional Catholic home will know exactly what that means.
Okay.
There was not a lot of overt conversation about our faith. We always went to Mass. We checked the boxes and followed the rules. We knew how to pray the rosary. I went to Catholic school and I studied things, but there was not a lot of the conversation. And the church has really evolved so much as I've gotten older, where we are so much more alive and we talk so much about it in a way that my parents certainly never experienced. And so it's been great that as I've matured, that I've been able to really explore some of these ideas with friends, with leaders, with all kinds of folks. And, I always had this thought as a child, and I credit my parents with this, that if you just do the right things, make good choices, stay out of trouble, stay in school, don't go spray paint that building.
Yeah.
Don't go hang out in the Burger King parking lot and smoke cigarettes.
But sometimes it's hard not to do.
If you just, you make all the right decisions, and everything's going to be great.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I think we've all seen when sometimes things, oh, well, wait a minute, but I did this and it's okay. Or I do make all these good choices, and I do try to follow this, and things just don't quite happen the way that I thought they would.
Yeah.
So for me, there have been two really, like monumental things in my life. One was a marriage that ended in divorce. That was never, nobody ever says, okay, so you're going to graduate from high school, you're going to choose a career, and what you're going to want to do, you're going to meet your spouse, you can get married, you have a couple kids, then you're going to get divorced.
Yeah, it's
Nobody,
gonna be,
it's
it's
that
gonna be
part.
great. Yeah, you're
that
gonna put
part
about
of the plan.
12 years into it.
That part of the plan, and so that was an incredibly difficult thing that really shook me, and I just had this expectation that, well, that's it. Here I am, and this is my life, and I thought I'm going to be in this kind of dark spot for a while, and I have no one else can, this is on me. And it never occurred to me that there would be something amazing on the other side of that for me.
Yeah.
That my girl's dad would move into another place in his life that would work well, that I would meet someone, my husband now, and we've been married 14 years, and he is truly, my love, my best friend, my biggest supporter, my partner in crime in so many ways that could happen. And then it makes me think about, and I'm not great with quoting scripture, but there's a handful of things I hold on to. And my husband knows this in Ezekiel, where he says, I will open your graves and raise you from them. I will do it. I have promised it, and I will do it, says the Lord. I have promised it, I will do it. Well, for the love of, if he's going to open up graves, if he says he's going to do it, then why don't we believe that he's going to bring good things into our life? Of course, if he promises it, I think it's good. That was an incredibly tough experience for me, but I think it prepared me for what I'm going through now, which is a major health issue. And for anyone out there who is suffering with a chronic illness, a terminal illness of themselves or a loved one, it's so incredibly humbling, especially when the physical part of that breaks you down. And for people who know me through the Y, and there are probably a lot of people who don't even, I'm freely talk about it, but it's not something I, carry a sandwich board to advertise.
Right.
So many people will say to me, well, I don't understand what can be wrong with you, because you were like the healthiest person I know.
Yeah.
You did. And it's true. All those things they tell you about how to eat right and how to exercise and how to maintain a healthy weight and don't smoke and all this stuff. And I did. I did all those little right things. And several years ago, and it's hard for us to know exactly when, I started inexplicably tripping and falling down. And at first I just thought, okay, you're not paying attention. You're too busy.
Yeah.
Be more mindful.
Like, get it together,
Come
Andrea.
on.
Yeah.
Then I thought, okay, maybe this was like around the time of like late 40s, 50. And I'm thinking, I expect this would happen at some point, but not now. And it was finally a group of close family who said, something's not right. And we went through a lot of tests and evaluations and diagnostics and blah, 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 to arrive at a diagnosis, which is the only diagnosis we have now. And it's been almost 4 years since we came to this place. And I will say the word once, and no one's ever heard of it. Dermatomyositis. Nobody knows it. I don't expect you to remember it. But it is a autoimmune condition that leads to just a progressive loss of muscle strength.
Wow.
So it's an inflammatory myopathy where the first place for me was I just started dragging my feet and falling, and my legs just don't work. So now I just want to clarify. Sometimes I don't feel like doing squats today.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to do these step ups. My legs literally will not do some of these. They just won't. And I've experienced at this point, when I look at my logs from all my workouts, probably I've lost at least a third of my muscle capacity, just from, not from lack of activity, just from this condition.
Diagnosis, yeah.
My muscle enzymes are 10, 12, 15 times what they're supposed to be, so they're just attacking each other. And we're exploring lots of different therapies and things. I've done different medicines. I'm on an infusion therapy right now, and I'm continuing to seek other doctors. And here's what happens. And for anyone out there who's dealing with this, when something like this happens, people say, you should.
Yeah.
You should do this.
Let me give you advice.
Oh my gosh. And my favorite one, whenever I tell people it's muscle, a lot of people are like, have you tried protein shakes? Like they want me to have more protein.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Or it's weird stuff. And I'm sorry.
I have some oils, some essential
sorry
oils
if you do
that you can try.
Everyone wants me. Well, everyone says, how about medical marijuana? I said, you don't understand. I'm not in pain. And my understanding is
that's the solution for everything.
that's really to deal with pain. And I don't think that being high is going to help me walk any better.
Yeah.
Not going to do that.
It doesn't typically.
Are there like fresh celery juice? That's the answer. Everybody's got an answer. And, and I said, well, gosh, thanks. I don't think that the medical expert at UAB in Birmingham thought of that.
Yeah.
Let me talk to her about it. But people mean well. People mean well.
Of course.
And so it's been very, very humbling because I had this image of myself that in my 50s, when my children were gone, I would get back to triathlon racing.
Yeah.
And then my husband said, if you're going to ride a bike out on the open road, I'm going to follow you in the car. And I said, well, that's no fun. So I'm going to sell my bike to someone who, can really use it. And I won't run anymore. The last time I tried running after I just splayed out 3 times in a matter of 8 weeks, like bloody knees.
Oh, man.
Well, and people talk about being embarrassed. I said, look, I've fallen down so many times now in so many places and broken things and bled and all. It just, like, that doesn't, being embarrassed is the least of my concerns.
I would imagine.
I just don't care. You really release that after a while. And so, as I'm kind of working through this, there's this big humbling experience that says, maybe I'm not going to be the 70, 75-year-old grandma who everybody thinks is so cool because she just kicks around because she goes bungee cord jumping with her grandkids. That might not be me. The reality is that people with this diagnosis respond differently, but it's not unusual to end up with a walker in a wheelchair to really have. And it's not the disease itself that will get you, but there are other issues that happen.
Yeah, that would be attached to that. Heart
and lung issues that end up doing this. And so, we have this big dramatic pause sometimes, and I just, I tell my husband or my mom or, my daughters, I'm like, look, I know I'm going to die. I don't think it's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
So let's just hang out. So there's this whole shift of mindset to understand, what can I control? And I've kind of arrived in this place where some days there are a few things I can control. I mean, and you can attest to this. I'm up here doing all my PT-based exercises every day.
It's my expectation when I come into the gym every
you're
morning.
Gonna see me.
I'm going to see Andrea because I have to do some for my shoulder. I'm going to be stretching out my
and
shoulder.
I'm going to be right around there doing my thing.
And that's when I get to catch up with Andrea.
And and so I can control that. And I tell people, is it hard? Yes. The hardest thing I do every day is climb the stupid set of stairs.
Yeah.
Already on my mind, I know that I'm on the 3rd floor of the parking garage. So when I leave here at the end of the workday, I got to climb those stairs. And people will say to me, well, there's an elevator. I said, I know, but I'm climbing the stairs because I need to make sure I can climb the stairs. So, yes, I can get more rest. And yes, I can do this. But a lot of days, the only thing I can really control is my attitude. How am I going to respond to this? And so much like some of the other smaller things in my life or the other big things, you spend a lot of time asking why God, why me, why God? Or this is my favorite one, how long is this going to last?
Yeah. This is only going to be for a second.
How long is this going to last?
Yeah.
And then, and maybe there are people who can relate to this, you get to the end of whatever that is and you think, thank you, God, for not telling me how long that was going to be. Because if I had known how long that was going to be, I might have given up. But I kept thinking, any minute now, I'm going to turn the corner. And so my real question to myself now is not, why is this happening to me? Because I think it's a dumb question. I feel like, I don't remember reading anywhere in Scripture, and you know better than I do. I don't remember anywhere that God said, and I'm going to give you all the answers.
Yeah.
If you just ask me enough, I'm going to tell you. And so,
Yeah, I don't think it was in there and they took it out.
right.
I don't think it was ever in there.
I don't think he ever said, you who are so good and faithful, you will understand everything. And so my question to myself is just usually, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this?
Mm-hmm.
What am I supposed to learn from this? So I'm going to make another scripture reference. Old Testament, Israelites in the desert, where God tells Moses to make his staff with the serpent.
Yeah.
Because the snakes, instead of looking down at the snakes, we want you to look up. And so I always have this image of when we're staring down at whatever we're wading through, then that's all we see.
Yeah.
But if you look up, let's look up and see what else there is. And so I have found that I am at my best now when I just stop wallowing in my own mess.
Yeah.
And say, you know what? Look at all of the things around me that I have to be grateful for. Look at how much there is, and let me infuse myself with that, and then let me attach to someone else. And, you know, I can credit my baby sister with one day looking me in the eye and going, about another issue, is this really a crisis or is it just an inconvenience? Because I think a lot of times I didn't get a good parking spot.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a good deal on this iPhone. You know, my beach trip got rained
Everything
out.
is a crisis.
And I just think, really?
Yeah.
You know, you didn't get a great parking spot, but you're driving a car.
Yeah.
And where are you going?
Well, that's what's beautiful is to be able to have other people in your life.
Absolutely.
Like, you were talking and man, I told the church this weekend, we're teaching through John chapter number 4 in this series up to Easter. And it's the story of the woman at the well.
Oh,
and
we just.
she has this interaction with Jesus, and he tells her like, "Hey, go call your husband." And then
I don't have a husband.
Yeah, and they have this interaction, and then she immediately kind of starts to shift it to religious conversation and all these other things. And you kind of, if you're just reading the story, you kind of miss the point of this is in the middle of the day. Like you said this phrase, you said that, I imagined myself, or I had this image of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And in this interaction with Jesus, this woman is interacting with Jesus from this image that she has of herself.
This is what I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, this is
what I expected.
That is put on her from
what other people,
what she has done, or from what other people have said about her. And I told the church this weekend that you are not the worst mistake you've ever made.
Oh, thank God.
You are not the worst mistake you've ever made. The worst thing about you is not the truest thing about you. And the worst thing that's ever happened to you, like you're not the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Like that is not who you are. And that's so important to really see. And it's easy to miss because like you said, my eyes are on everything else.
You get that negativity, the self-talk. What am I telling myself?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, again, you see me here upstairs in the wellness center where there are times where I think, okay, I wonder if anybody heard that, where I'm literally talking to myself. Okay, come on. You have 2 more of these to do.
No, I've heard you say it.
Just do
I'm
it.
like, get it, Andrea.
And I mean, and that's it, because the alternative, I mean, I tell people that I don't know what you're saying inside your head, but it needs to be nice.
Yeah.
You need to, I mean, and if you
That's a novel concept. Be nice to yourself.
It should be nice what you're saying in your head. And if you're struggling with that, then go find somebody else who can give that to you. And, you know, and I think that when we do that and we can help to carry each other, then that's where that true sense of community too, I think in church comes through, that says, you know, here's what I'm going through, but it's okay. People will reach out to me and they're like, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And as soon as you say that, they kind of like, I'm like, no, I'm really good.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I think you talk, this is real life. My real life right now is I wear orthotics on both of my legs, and my physical therapist encouraged me to get the prescription to get them a full year before I actually got them. Because I said, that's a nice suggestion, but no thanks.
Yeah.
And so I spent another year tripping and stumbling and struggling and being exhausted.
Yeah.
Just walking around during the day, exhausted because of this little pride point that I didn't want to have to cave to that. And then when I went back to him and he said, it's really time.
Yeah.
You need to do this. And I had this moment in the orthotics place with this young physical therapist, fitting me for these. I had a moment in the hallway where, tears just started coming down my face. And he kind of looked at me, he's like, are you okay?
Yeah.
And I said, this just isn't what I expected would happen to me.
Mm.
I need just a moment. And I
Yeah.
literally stood there for about 30 seconds and I said, all right, let's go. And within a week, maybe 2 weeks of getting these orthotics, I thought, I cannot believe I waited this long, because it's been a game changer. And it's a great way to enter sometimes into conversation. Now, I met a guy in the parking lot at the grocery store wearing the same orthotics as me, and I almost knocked, a few people over to go get to him. I'm like, oh, his name is Leonard.
Yeah,
and we had this great conversation where we could identify with each other.
Yeah.
And I thought it's a little device. So talk about a change in mindset. This is my latest one. When I first got these, there were people who, were like, they didn't want to ask about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had someone who asked me recently, how long are you going to have to wear those? And at the beginning of all that, I thought, well, maybe the rest of my life. She said, how long do you think you have to wear those? I said, well, if I'm lucky, for the rest of my life, because that means I'm still walking.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's that whole mind shift that says, find gratitude in what you can, recognize that, it's going to be different. And all I can think about is, what experience am I going to have? Who am I going to meet? Who can I maybe help along because this is happening to me, not in spite of it?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where I think I rest now. We're big Lent observers in the Catholic faith. We really make a lot about Lent, and so we think about Jesus on his way to his death on Calvary, and we talk about carrying your cross. But I met a nun, little old nun. She's been a nun for 65 years.
That seems like a super
how
long
is that
time
even
to be a nun.
possible?
I don't know.
She went in as a teenager. She's in her 80s. And she said, sometimes I have to ask myself, am I carrying my cross or am I dragging it behind
just
me?
dragging it.
She says, because, when you're dragging it, you're going to pick up all kind of stuff.
Mm.
You're going to make a cloud of dust to call attention to, oh, me and my woe cross. And all. She said, but if you just pick it up and carry it, it might be better. Just get about it. And then I'm led to think, Scripture says Simon of Cyrene helped Jesus carry his cross, which tells me, wait a minute, he was Jesus. He didn't need help. I think that's his way of saying, when you need help with your cross, get it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we're here to do for each other.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. I absolutely think that. Yeah, I think one of the things that we talk about a lot is that, like, that phrase, one another. Like, there's a couple things that I say about Wellspring. Like, I'll say that we're a Jesus church. Another thing that I'll say is that, like, we're a one another type of church. Like, so that phrase, one another, is used over 100 times in the Bible. And all the time, every time it's used, it's either saying to love one another.
Love one another.
To serve one another, or to be humble towards one another. Like, and so, like, this, your faith, your real life is meant to be lived with one another, like
Absolutely.
with other people. And I can't help but think, like, when I'm hearing your story, and when I was younger in ministry, like just really honestly just getting started after my wife and I had come off the mission field, I had the opportunity to work with one of the best leaders I've ever worked with. And it wasn't long after I was hired that he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, had never smoked a cigarette in his life. Like, just the picture of health, and was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And I got to see him every day come into work. Because you said a phrase earlier, like, I know I'm going to die. It's probably not going to be today.
Yeah.
That's true about all of us. But I got to see somebody come into work every day, knowing that this is going to happen to me.
And this is a lot closer than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and I always say, like, that was one of the, this is a strange thing to say, but as a guy trying to get started into ministry and pastoring people, like, that was one of the greatest gifts that he gave me. That Rex was his name, the guy that I worked with, that he gave me was him coming into work every day with that type of mentality. Because you have to understand that, like, there's so you mentioned looking down. There's so many things that catch my attention that I want to look at. There's so many times that, like, even if you think about like arguments with your spouse.
So
like
the kind of things where you're like, does this really matter?
You're gonna have to say goodbye one day.
Does this really matter?
Like,
I mean,
like,
really?
when you look at your children, when you look
gosh.
at, like, there's gonna come a day where you're gonna have to say goodbye. Like, and does this matter so much?
Let this go. One of the things I'm working on right now is being a better apologizer. People in my life know that I always struggle with that. But I had someone I made a personal apology to last week where I waited.
I forgave you.
Oh. But I wanted to wait till I could see him in person. Grabbed his hands, looked him in the eye, and he kind of tried to brush it off. And I said, no, it's not okay.
Yeah. I
said, because I got to button this up to let you know that I recognize what I did and I'm going to move on. And I want to tell you, and I thought that, to me, that giving each other some space and some grace really can give you some room in a relationship where there's space and grace to screw up and to come back from that, because I think that's what we're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
And I think probably one last thing I'm thinking about that's in my brain too about this. Inevitably, somebody will hear this kind of thing and go, yeah, but I'm hurting.
Yeah.
I'm sad. I'm in pain. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I think this is not about a Pollyanna-ish. It's not just I'm going to slap on some happy. It's about I'm going to find a deeper well of joy because
Say that again.
Because there's some other stuff going on around me that's going to cloud the way. And sometimes I cry.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I really cry and I really get mad. And I give myself time to do it. And then after about 15 minutes, I'm like, okay, time to get up and get going again.
Yeah, one of the things that I don't know necessarily even where I picked it up from or anything, but one of the things that I started doing probably within the last couple of years was when somebody's going through something really difficult, instead of giving them the normal, like, well, this too will pass, and y'all just stay faithful. All that stuff is like, sit with them in it. And so the phrase that I use sometimes with people is, sometimes it's like that.
Yeah.
Like,
I always say,
sometimes
I'm
it's like
so
that.
sorry you're going through this. What can I do? And so I owe a thank you note right now. I'm a big note writer. I love writing real notes. I tell people all the time, whatever you do, I still stick boxes of little note cards in my girls' Christmas gifts because I said, I always want you to have a note card. I owe a note to a friend of mine right now and she has not, made all the drama, and she's not the one who says how you feel and all, but she cleaned out her closet and she brought me to my house 3 long skirts. Because these orthotics that I wear, I'm super used to them, but a lot of people get really
when
weirded
they see
out.
it, they
They're
don't
like,
know what it is.
they get all freaked out. Either that or they think I'm a soccer coach, which I'm like, well, sometimes it's just a stranger. It's just easier to go, I just love soccer practice. But Susan brought me these 3 long skirts because when I get dressed up to go to church or to go to something, if I can, I'm going to wear like wide-legged pants or long skirts so that other people are more comfortable. I don't care.
Yeah, I understand.
But I want to make it a little more comfortable then. And she came to me and said, I know you're really in the market for long skirts these days, and I don't wear these anymore. I thought you might like them. And all I could think was, this is what it means to really support and hold up, to say, I can listen and I can pray for you and I cry, but I can actually do something in real life for you. Yeah. So I've worn 2 of the 3 so far. Nice. And both times I've had lots of people complimenting on skirts. So I said, I can't, and I'm saving, the 3rd one I'm saving for Easter.
Oh, beautiful.
Because it looks very Eastery to me. So it'll be new to me. But I said to tell Susan, thank you, not just but thank you for actually doing something really real life, tangible.
To kind of like close out the conversation and kind of tie everything together, like, we started off talking about how, like, life doesn't always go how you planned it. All of us experience that. Like, all of us experience that.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, like, part of the thing that helps carry us through is having other people that understand that.
Absolutely.
Like, I've had things in my life that it's like, I didn't think that would happen, or I didn't expect.
I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see it this way.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, exactly. And so I can either jump into like this weird comparison game, you know,
Right.
like, well, this seemed unfair. This person has this, and I didn't have to deal with it.
We all have stuff,
I can
right?
realize everyone has that, and so I have an opportunity to be there for someone
and,
in their real life.
Brian, I think if you live long enough, you're going to have stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if we all expected to have these really simple, then maybe we'd all die at 19 or something. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I mean, I have a nephew who entered this world with a major heart defect and had open heart surgery at 8 months old. I mean, some of us really get our challenges early,
for sure.
So I think, God willing, that we live long enough, this world is it's messy. And, I think it's about understanding that we may not always get it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it means, I think, to be human, and to say, all right, I'm a little dirty, and I'm a little disheveled, and I've got a couple of scars on me now, and I've got stories about those scars, and this is what they make me.
Yeah,
I am a much, much more patient, more empathetic, more tolerant, more flexible person than I was 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, young Andrea was, whoo. I mean, she was rough.
Yeah, I got
She was rough. So I think this is part of how our sharp edges kind of get softened a little and smoothed out so that we don't scrape other people all the time.
And so that you can be there for someone and point them to something a little deeper that you found.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. Andrea, I really appreciate this conversation.
This was so good.
A real delight. I really appreciate it.
You asked me to talk. I'm like, I could talk.
Yeah, girl, you crushed it. This was a good one. Anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed this episode. You can share it. Come hang out with us live Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. at the Levin Studio YMCA. We'd love to see you there. See you guys.
Bye.